Right, you horrible lot, welcome to Rock Paper Shotgun. And welcome to my kingdom. Well, it's not exactly a kingdom yet, it's a castle, but it's definitely a start. It's also a lot further on than I was when we last checked in on Mount and Blade Bannerlord. Since then, I've successfully carried out a siege, dabbled in mods, collectively fed my soldiers over 300,000 sticks of butter, and generally improvised, adapted and overcome Bannerlord in a few different ways, after immersing myself in the landmass formerly known as Calradia for the last 5 days of my life. I've also learned a lot that I'd very much like to share with you, so that when you take a stroll through the looter-infested landscape of Bannerlord's map, you can do so having had the knowledge of some really useful advanced tips and tricks imparted upon you. And because it's unbalanced at the moment, I've got a mod installed that boosts your XP gain from watching this video, as long as you click the like button. All done? Let's get started then. Chris talked in his video, which is that card in the corner, about how useful the Encyclopedia is. I'm here to tell you that it's even more important than he said it was. As well as its essential function of helping you track people you need to talk to, the Encyclopedia allows you to browse through huge lists of every settlement, hero, troop type, kingdom, clan, and concept that you'll find and need to know about in Bannerlord. Some entries in the Encyclopedia, primarily the concept, are brief descriptions, overviewing what something is, like trade goods are goods that you can trade. Others will give you all of the information you need about the thing, so settlement entries will list their primary export, which you can use for planning your trade route, how big their militia is, so you can more effectively prepare for raids and sieges, who owns the settlement and what faction they belong to, and notable characters who spend their time there. The hero entries are really useful. They tell you all about the lords you'll encounter, basically the closest NPC equivalents to you. You can find out their culture, age, occupation, your relation score with them, their clan, who their friends are, who their enemies are, where they were last seen, what they were recently doing, any traits they possess, and what skills they have. All of that is crucial information for my next tip, which is whenever you successfully defeat a lord from a faction you're at war with and capture them as a prisoner, execute that f***er faster than they can say default intro for famous player will try to make sure this does not occur. No ifs, no buts, not worth doing otherwise, just kill them. Why? Well, whenever you successfully Ronald an opposing army and capture that lord prisoner, every moment that they remain alive is a moment where they can rebuild their forces and mess up your shit all over again. If you keep them prisoner in your party or a settlement, they can escape. If you ransom them off at the tavern, then they'll just go back to their faction and start fresh, and if you just let them go after battling, then you're f***ed. Kill them, and they'll cease to exist in your game. One less party for your enemy faction to bludgeon you with when you're just trying to get on with stuff. It might not seem like much compared to the sum total of lords in any given kingdom, but especially when you've built up your party to outnumber a good handful of the ones you'll run into, it becomes a bit of a surefire way of whittling down your opposition and claiming territory from them all the easier. Rather than trading being a constant base focus of yours as it is in the early game, here it should be picking a faction you feel like you can take on, tracking down and killing any enemy lord from that faction that you possibly can, and doing that until they weaken enough that you can start taking over their settlements. Of course, this is the way to do it if you're, minor spoiler, doing the run where you destroy the Empire of Calradia rather than rebuilding it. The pro-Empire run would have you serving under a lord and pleasing the faction for long enough that you're granted land. If you're anti-Empire like me, though, you're going to have to either ally with a non-imperial faction, or take a settlement yourself. Towns are a bit on the big and risky side to start with if you're vying for a settlement to take for your own. They're often too well fortified because of their larger population, and because they're bigger you'll need more troops and more siege weaponry in order to successfully besiege them, and you won't be able to make an army yet, so that might be tricky. A castle, on the other hand, is going to be a bit easier because it's a smaller settlement with a smaller garrison. Not only that, but it will still grant you some of the same options and abilities as taking a town, because you'll still be able to start your own kingdom with it. To pick a castle to siege, simply open the world map, zoom all the way out, and identify the kingdom getting f***ed the most. For me, it was the Sturgians, who had one town left on the tip of an island, and that town was being besieged. I made my way up towards the town, on the other side of which was one castle cut off from everything else, and I joined in with the siege, helping the Northern Empire faction wipe Sturgia off of the map. Helping here did a few things. One, it gave me first-hand experience of a siege and how it all works, but I wasn't the one that had to command it, it was the AI, so I could see how it should be done. Two, the castle on the other side of it was exposed and didn't have anywhere to get backup from. 3, it was kissing the Northern Empire's arse. My relation with them went up, and it meant that they wouldn't bother me, especially so given this castle belonged to a kingdom they were at war with. I wasn't going to run into any upset by taking it. Sieges are as cool as you'd expect them to be. You can trigger one with any castle or town owned by a faction you're warring with, so if you're not at war already with that faction, an easy way of changing that is by raiding the village closest to whatever settlement you want. Then you begin the siege and have to wait for a progress bar to fill up while you build your siege camp, and can choose which siege weapons to start building. Unless you've specialised in it at character creation or you've sieged a settlement before, your engineering skill will be quite low. So to start with, prioritise probably just one piece of equipment, the siege engine. It's a 3-wide reinforced ladder that can't be flipped over like the single ladders, and funnels your troops into the fortifications 3 times as fast without any breaks. And once you've got all of that built and raring to go, do the siege, kick ass and take what's yours. After that you'll gain ownership of any of the villages assigned to the castle, and you'll also be able to form your own kingdom, rally armies, get paid taxes, make policies and all sorts. You won't have a minister to get into the diplomacy game in Bannerlord until you have a town, but for now at least you have a base of operations, and that makes everything a hell of a lot easier. Mount & Blade Warband had a really big modding scene, so it isn't a huge surprise that Bannerlord has already got a lot of mods on offer, not even 2 weeks after its release. Some of them are temporary fixes to the game, while Tailworlds have their focus on other aspects of it, and some just jazz things up a little bit. It's really easy to install a majority of them too, just download the zip files from the Bannerlord Nexus and extract their files into the modules folder in Bannerlord's Steam directory. Then when you open the game launcher, click on mods and check the boxes of the ones you've installed. 1 or 2 might be a bit different, but they'll have installation guides on the mods page. Here are some of the mods that I have installed. Detailed character creation unlocks some of the options and sliders in the character creation menu. It lets you mess around with body proportions, eyebrow and complexion types, and your weight and build. It's not a huge expansion, but it adds just enough to really help with personalising things. If you want to tweak a character you've already made, all you need to do is press the V key while you're on the world map and it will open up the character menu. The cheer mod fixes something I was really quite saddened by. Unlike in the base game, it lets you cheer along with your troops after successfully f***ing somebody's shit up together. At default, it's set to make you automatically cheer after winning a fight, and if you're on a battlefield, you can press V to manually cheer, either of which gives your party a morale boost. Cute. Like the base game though, nobody cheers after beating bandit leaders in duels, opting instead for foreboding silence. Zorbarax's shoulder cam moves the third-person camera positioning from directly centred on the back of your head for a more traditional over-the-shoulder perspective with swaying whenever you swing your weapon, making it a more intense and easier to control time, which is good. For on-foot melee, it's my camera of choice. I also have Gay Marriage, and a mod that adds female soldiers to all of the factions. Now, yes, I understand Bannerlord is set during its equivalent to the migration period. Marriage at the time was largely diplomatic and only happened between men and women. And because of largely misogynistic attitudes, women were rarely allowed to fight or rule. If you're looking for hardcore historical accuracy, or as much as you can get from a game in a fictional setting, then don't install these mods, but I couldn't give 2 shits about that. I want a giant warlord wife and a powerful army of strong ladies. All of these mods are linked in the description, as well as a couple of others that tweak things like XP gain and smithing research, so check them out if they sound like your jam. While playing Bannerlord, you'll often find yourself in pursuit of or by various horrible ne'er-do-wells and trying to play a game of cat and mouse to either pin them down or get away. Speed, as it turns out, plays quite a big role in how this can go for you, and your speed is dependent on a lot of different factors. For starters, the speed of your horse will play into it. Some horses, namely the lighter and lower HP ones, will be faster than others. That's what affects your base speed. Having cavalry in your party adds more speed on top of that because horses are faster than people, which is why when the horses take up arms and revolt against mankind, we will all perish under their hooves. Carrying loads of cargo will bring your speed down, and that debuff will get significantly worse if you're over your carrying capacity. If you're transporting a herd of livestock, likewise, your speed will go down. You can see all of this if you click the little arrow that expands your map bar in the bottom right corner, something I'm really surprised is not the default, because it shows you other useful info too, like your view distance and daily party wage. Anyway, you can also see what your speed is without all of the reasons why by hovering over your avatar on the map. You can do this for other units you can see too, which is really insightful information when you're trying to run away or catch up to someone. You could theoretically start hauling shit out of your bag, letting cattle loose or letting prisoners free, while being hunted down by an army to try and get that bit faster than they are. Or, if you can't afford to lighten your load and you're trying to beast a puny party of 16 looters, you'll know that you need to instead employ the use of the zigzag herding manoeuvre, which it turns out is something you can do without having to rely on Bannerlord's standard point-and-click time-pausing movement system. If you need to make more delicate and precise movements that a mouse click doesn't quite satisfy, you can use the arrow keys to navigate while still retaining the time pause on Bannerlord's map whenever you start moving. Combine that with clicking and dragging with the right mouse button, which rotates the map, and you've effectively got third-person action game controls. Sometimes when you're trying to point-and-click move on Bannerlord's map, especially when you're trying to corner something faster than you, it can get really frustrating. Because of the uneven terrain on parts of the map, you can end up clicking on one place and thinking it'll lead you down one path, when actually it will make you walk 5 days around a mountain range or something. So when every move in your pursuit is crucial, being able to make minor adjustments can be the difference between clasping your target with a pincer grip or letting them slip between your hammy fingers. Especially if you're grinding small parties of looters and other bandits who will always be much faster than you if you've got a hefty party going on, being able to get really meticulous with your movements makes it all the easier. Once you've cornered your latest diplomatic victim and you want to charge your infantry into their shield wall in a wedge formation, you usually have to mash a slightly clunky and tricky to remember combination of the F keys to give out the orders. That is, unless you use Screamerlord. Screamerlord isn't really a mod, which is why it gets its own mention. It's a custom command profile that user Leto put up on the Bannerlord Nexus that you can use with Voice Attack, a piece of software that you can use to assign words and phrases to different computer hotkeys and mouse movements. Voice Attack has a free trial and a premium version, the difference being money and the maximum number of commands you'll be able to have, and there are profile options for both. I used the trial for my testing, and now I use it in pretty much every fight where I need to be barking lots of orders about. Here's some footage of me trying it for the first time. Infantry, move there.
And move!
Infantry, form a shield wall.
Form a shield wall!
Cavalry charge. Cavalry charge.
Attack!
Everyone charge.
And charge!
It's really easy to set up too, just install Voice Attack and download whichever profile corresponds to your version of Voice Attack, open up the program and click on the edit button, then you can clear the default commands and import the ones from the file by clicking the button. If you run into issues there, then Leto has some troubleshooting info on the mod page. All that will be linked in the description. Bannerlord is really sucking me in. I've been playing it non-stop lately, and I'm still learning something new about it every time I sit down to it again. This is some of what I've learned, but I'll probably have learned even more in another week's time, when more patches come out that change bits around and add new things to the mix. Regardless, this is all, hopefully, really useful advice that should make your time as an experienced Bannerlord that bit more streamlined and enjoyable. It certainly had that effect on me. If you found these tips and tricks helpful and entertaining, then why not give the video a like and subscribe to Rock Paper Shotgun for more like it. We've got some more Bannerlord content and also more impressions, reviews and special features for all kinds of different PC games. Let us know if you found these tips helpful in the comments and any extra ones you might have. Cheers very much for watching and hopefully see you again soon.